So the internet is going crazy with these two.
Look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
This video caught two top executives of a software company allegedly having an affair after being spotted on a kiss cam during a Coldplay show in Boston on Wednesday. The clip of the pair quickly spread across social media platforms, and people were quick to identify the pair as tech company Astronomer Chief Executive Andy Byron and the Chief People Officer Kristen Cabot. People then realized the pair were both married, but to other people. Byron's LinkedIn account, which has now been deleted, was flooded with comments from people making jokes about the incident. Following the fallout, Byron's wife allegedly removed his last name from her Facebook profile. According to a now deleted LinkedIn post, it appears as though Cabot only started at the company 7 months ago. Neither Byron, Cabot, nor the company have publicly responded to the incident.
So if you're watching this and you don't know what happened, it turns out that he's a CEO and she's the HR. She was just promoted by him as head of HR or something like that. And they're both married to other people. So they're having an affair and they get caught on the kiss cam. And so now they're outed and it's all a mess. But it reminds me of something that happened when I was working in a company back in Jamaica years ago. So we all had this company meeting where we had everybody in the company. It's a big company, you know, all this VPs and C-level executives, and everybody was there. I wasn't there. I think I was off that day. But when I came back, I was talking to my coworker. She's like, "Oh my God, it was so embarrassing." I was like, What happened? I missed it. And she says, "Well, girl, like we have this big conference room that can really hold a lot of people. So we're all sitting there," she says, "and they're making presentations. So time comes for this VP. He's not a VP. He's like right below the CEO. So I think it was COO. Yeah, he's a C-level exec. But anyway, he was giving his presentation and he connected his laptop and it's all on the big screen and everything. And he's about to go present. And as soon as he opens up his presentation, something pops up in front of his presentation deck. And what popped up was corn. Corn popped up, and of the most graphic kind. Okay, things were going into things and people was making sounds, and it was like, oh my God. So obviously they tried to pull it out, plug it out, slap the laptop down, you know, frantically trying to get rid of it, but the damage was already done. We all saw that. So apparently he was watching corn on his work laptop, and he closed the corn window, but you know these things have pop-ups and pop-ups and pop-ups, so he never realized that there was other pop-ups below his presentation. And as soon as he opened the thing, the corn was there. Everybody had corn in their face. And that was what happened. Now this thing blew up. It was in the papers, you know, they reported on the news, and it was a very embarrassing moment for our company. Now what they did was they had all the staff members in almost like a mass psychiatric study or something. Like we had group therapy kind of, and they invited, you know, psychologists and God knows what, a bunch of nonsense, right? But we all had an opportunity to talk about how it made us feel to see this on the screen. And I was surprised. People cried because I'm like, are we living in the twilight zone? Like, who are we talking to right here? Like, I don't watch corn because it's just not good for my mind. But I wouldn't start like bawling as a grown adult if I ever saw it. Like, people cried. It was all eccentric. I was like, what is going on with these people? Like, please, come on. But people had things to say, good and bad, how it made them feel, a whole bunch of therapy. And the day after, we didn't have any work. Nobody had to do any work because we had to attend these sessions, and the sessions were like group, like department wide and group wide, and then it was like they had bigger groups and smaller groups, right? But that was the effort that they took to try to quell the situation, because nobody wanted to get him fired, because he had a lot of history with the company and he had a lot of people that was there that was kind of rooting for him. So I felt like that was just a way to say that we did something about it, but they're not doing the thing, like get rid of the guy. Like, he's not going to get fired, right? So people came out and said different things. Some people are in favor of, like, you know, they work with him for a long time. They know he's a good person, and they know how sorry is about what happened. And then he came to the office maybe like a couple of days later, and I mean he put on the biggest show. Like he was side faced, and he walked slowly, and he said hi to everybody outside of not he normally says hi, but like he went out of his way to make sure he said hi, and you could see that he was sad and sorry about what he did. And I think it was all performative, but that's what he did. And soon it blew over, and who knows? If I see him today, I don't even care, right? But that's what was done. Now, I think for these two, what my COO didn't rise to the level of going to a concert with somebody that you recently promoted, that you're having an affair with, given that you both are married to other people. Like, that's a little bit much going on over there. But I also still think that probably nothing will happen. Probably, and I mean, Jamaica is even from the US, but probably they'll have some kind of lame apology that he'll put out, and they'll have some internal soul seeking with the company employees, and I don't know, all of the little performative, showy stuff. They'd silently go away. They may get a package and they're out, right? So just to keep up appearances, that's probably what can happen. Now, personally, they probably get into bigger trouble because obviously, like the wife can divorce the CEO. She has plenty of proof. Like, she has proof of infidelity. Like, the whole world saw that. And divorces and splitting of assets and stuff like that can happen. But if he's cheating on his wife anyway, marriage already done anyway. So they'll probably just stay together. He loses. She might resign just to save face anyway. So she's gonna go for sure. I would be surprised she'll be there. Ride the wave, go through the shame Olympics, try to look sad and try to apologize and try to whatever. And then it'll disappear and everybody move on with their life. That's what's gonna happen. But these things happen. It just goes to show you that a lot of people in corporate, they're just fake. And they have a lot of fake morality that they try to enforce in the corporate setting that they don't enforce in their real life. And sometimes you see people being promoted more than you. Like, you've been at the job for 4 years, 5 years, you're not going anywhere. Somebody comes younger or has been there a shorter time. They're younger in the company, and they're just like going straight up, and you're like, oh, why is everybody overlooking me? Sometimes because you're better, right? Sometimes you're doing a great job. And sometimes it's just nepotism. And sometimes because what they're doing, you wouldn't do. Because they're usually not good at the actual job that they are being paid for. So because they know they can't actually do the job, they find some other means to keep themselves in the position that they have or to get to higher positions. You hardly find a person who's competent, who knows what they're doing, having to resort to affairs to get to the next level. That being said, some competent people do just fall in love. And they throw away all their morals, and that's what they do, right? So I'm not saying it's 100% the case, but I've noticed the pattern where when people are being promoted, who are being promoted through the social connections that they have, and it's not because of their performance, it's because they can't perform, so they have to rely on other things. So that's why you shouldn't be jealous of people you're working with who seem to be having a better career than you. Sometimes what they're doing, you're not going to do. Sometimes they're not good at their job. They're only getting there through other means. They're sleeping with the boss, as in the case of these two, or they're just buddy-buddy with the boss. That happens too, where you're not really in a romantic relationship, but you're just so close and such a deep friend that your job is secure from your friendship, not from your actual performance. And your friend will cover you in everything that you're doing, even when you're doing the wrong thing. But you don't get punished the way other people do, because you're friends with the boss. The thing about me is I've never had to rely on friendship to stay anywhere. And as soon as I get into a place where the environment starts to change, God just plucks me out of that place. I was working for this company, and I really liked what I was doing. I was a product manager there, and I was in all of the meetings, and I was helping to steer the roadmap of the project and the product. And I really enjoyed building out that product. I really liked it. It was a really cool challenge. And then suddenly we always had new salespeople, but the sales guy that was bringing in the majority of our sales was a really good guy. And I really respected him a lot. And then he left. And I was shocked, like, oh my God, you are like, because it's a small company, you're the soul of the company. Like, you are the one bringing in all the sales. If you leave, what's going to happen? But I also want to tell you that when you see good people start leaving, it's a sign. It is a sign from God that you need to take heed. So he left, and I was like, gosh, if he's the top salesperson and he's leaving, we about cooked. And then we had a switch of marketing too. We had a whole bunch of marketing ideas, and the marketing manager, she left. So I was like, got a new marketing person. So new salespeople come, and when new salespeople come, they want to bring new ideas. They want to, define new regions and new pipeline goals and new all kinds of stuff. Okay, fine. I still do that. Marketing comes. We were working with the previous marketing manager. We had a plan. The plan was midway through. This campaign was in the middle of it. I was doing the roadmap to match this campaign. And a new marketing person comes, and they don't want to do what the other person's doing. They have new ideas. Okay, fine, we do new ideas. But as a product person, sometimes these shifts affect what you focus on for the product. So it's very disruptive, right? Okay, fine, let's try a new thing. So we got new marketing, new sales. Then we also got a new VP of product that I would need to work with. Okay, so now we're changing out the whole suite. Okay, fine, I'm working with them. And that person comes in, and suddenly we didn't have a position for products. I don't even know, they invented a position, like, let's say product manager, president or something, right? I can't even think of what the name was. It's a name between C-level and where I was. It's not VP of product, because the guy that we hired was VP of product, but he invented a new role that sat between myself and him. Normally I would talk directly with the VP of product, so she invented a role that was in between that we really didn't need. But he said to me, and he's so brazen that he just tells you what is on his mind. Like, oh, at my last company, I worked with XYZ person, and she was very good at systematizing everything, and we had a lot of reports like this. And he wanted me to create the same reports that he's used to, where he's coming from. I'm like, yeah, but where you're coming from isn't the same product or clientele, or there's nothing in common. So I can't just invent something that you used to work with. Plus, I don't know what you used to work with, just because that's what you're comfortable with. This is what we're doing here. This is working for us over here. So he didn't like that resistance. So he actually convinced the CEO to hire his old coworker. Yeah. And she came in and she started changing up a whole bunch of stuff and adding a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't need to have, in my opinion, because what we were doing, I don't mind change, but the change has to make sense. So she's introducing new tools and new processes and new steps that added complexity to what we already had simplified. So it didn't make it better, it made it more complex. But what happened is she's used to that system from wherever they were coming from. So she just wanted to implement the same thing that they did wherever they were coming from, so that they didn't have to change. I would have to change, and all of our team would have to change to adapt to what they're used to. So 2 new people come in with some amount of power, and they're changing everything without fully understanding the product, the client, what we're trying to do. They didn't even take the time to do any analysis of what we're doing and where the gaps are. They just say, oh, we're going to do this thing because this worked wherever I was coming from. And then I noticed that they're very buddy-buddy. They're very buddy-buddy. They're very close. And they're both married to different people, but they're very close. So it's falling away in my brain. Okay. So, but I'm there for the job, not there for the gossip, and I don't care. Okay. So what was the last straw was he hired another product manager, and this one was from Russia, and she was just very cold. I felt like the cold was inside. The cold, I'm like, you're in Georgia, it's warm, like we don't need to be cold. She was just a very curt person, very sharp, very to the point, not very engaging. She doesn't invite you to meetings that you should be in. She doesn't tell you about decisions that she's made. Conversations are happening above your head. And I was like, okay, so you've hired a product manager. I am already a product manager, and you're cutting me out of the conversation, and you're going ahead with the new process, and you're not telling me what the process is, so that I by de facto will not follow the process because I wasn't told that we have a new process. And why do we have a new process again? So I realized that I'm being cut out. So you know what I did? I said, oh, this is how we're going to play this game? All right, because the salesperson left, the marketing person left, other BAs left. People just leaving. And as they were leaving, new people were coming in that didn't have the background. I was just doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it was just too much chaos. So I said, I'm going to find a new job because I'm not about to stay here and fight with nobody. You want to bring your buddies in? Bring them in. You want to change stuff? Go right ahead. There is no reason for me to fight, right? If the CEO doesn't feel like his product is in the good hands, then that's okay. He can hire whoever he wants to hire, but I don't have to stay here. So I went and I tried to find a job. I wasn't even seriously searching. I just said, okay, let me just put my resume out there. I put my resume out there, and I got a call, and I responded to the recruiter, and she said, okay, I want to set you up directly with the hiring manager. I was like, okay, cool. Within 2 days or so, I met with the hiring manager. We had one interview for 1 hour, and I got an offer that very week. Like, I applied on a Monday or something like that, and I got the job by the end of the week. And I told him, he asked me, how long do I need to take to really leave where I am and start at the new place? And I said, well, out of courtesy, I'd love to give them 2 weeks because I want to wrap things up and all that stuff. And the guy said, we want you here within a week. So you got to make it happen. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. All right. And in Georgia, it's an at-will state. So they can fire you at will, you can leave at will. So, I told them, okay, I need to be done with here. I'm going in 1 week. And they started to panic. And like, oh my God, we need to get this and get that. And they try to have me long meetings all day. Nope. No. Because when you're there, you're giving them your all. They don't appreciate you. They hire new people over your head, okay? And they're doing their little buddy system thing where I'm talking to this one. I'm promoting this one because this one is a friend. I'm going to create a whole new position to pull somebody into that we didn't need. We're going to create new processes that they won't tell you about. We're going to basically run the product in a way that the product manager doesn't know about. Yeah, okay, so the problem was I have the knowledge though. That was the problem. I knew a lot about the product, and I documented things before I left. Even though I felt like they were not treating me fairly, I still had a lot of respect for the product that we were building, and I loved the product. So I documented everything. We already had regular documentation, but I put additional things for ongoing projects in there, where we were, what decisions we made, why we made the decisions. I did product demos. I recorded screens of the system and how it should work and where the gaps are and what to look out for. So anybody who would run this product when I left would have ample information, and I put them in categories. I documented it well so you can easily find stuff. It's not like a one big video. It's like short little chunks of different topics and different things. So I think I did a great job to leave them well prepared. But within a week I was out. So God will just take me and pluck me out of situations that are not favorable to me. I've come to that realization, and I'm so grateful for it. And that's why I try to do the right thing, because you're not going to get that blessing when you're doing the wrong thing. You cannot be out here having a bunch of affairs, sleeping with people's husbands, taking people's boyfriends, being mean to people, lying to people, stealing people's money. You cannot be doing any of those morally wrong things and think that God can protect you and bless you. It's not going to happen. So when you see these two getting outed, I'm not saying that it couldn't have happened, to anybody. It probably could have happened to anybody. But they were in the middle of doing something very immoral. And that's why it happened to them. So sometimes things happen, and maybe sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe they needed to get a reason to be divorced from the people they're married to. And this is the reason. Like, if you wanted a sign, here the universe is giving you a sign. Get out of that marriage. You don't love the persons that you're with, so why torture yourselves? So yeah, I just think that the moral standing of a lot of people in corporate is all fake. What they're doing in personal life sometimes it's so atrocious compared to how they pretend and how they be. And but it's kind of a necessary evil because you need decorum in the corporate space. So even if you are not a very honorable person in private, you have to at least pretend to have decorum. So that's my take on it, y'all. My friend is here, so I'm going to cut this video short. But thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.